Welcome back, I hope all is well. Today we're talking addresses. We're gonna talk about how to obtain an address for your virtual private practice. We're also gonna talk about why it's not a great idea to use your home address. We're gonna talk about everything you need to know about addresses. And believe it or not, this is a really important topic when it comes to starting a private practice. It's certainly one that floats under the radar, but it's important nonetheless. So stick around, we're gonna talk all about that today. But if you haven't done so already, please do go ahead and subscribe down below. Hit the thumbs up button on this video, but only if you want to. There is no pressure. So as a virtual therapist, although you're not seeing clients in a physical location, you're gonna need an address for several reasons. Now, the first barrier that I encountered when starting my private practice was the address I needed to establish my business entity. So if you've seen my other videos, you know I've talked about establishing a PLLC here in New York. This is an official business entity, and as part of that process, I needed an address for the business. Now, technically, I could have used my home address. However, this address is going to be public, meaning there's a directory of businesses, and on that directory is the business's address. And if this is your home address, it is going to be public information. I don't know about you, but I don't want my personal address public, so I decided to use a different address. Another tip here is that when you're filling out forms, whether it be to get credentialed, whether it be to open a business bank account, or anything like that, it's always helpful to double check if the address is going to be public. Most of the time it's not, but other times it is. So definitely do your due diligence and ask if your address is going to be public. I know it wasn't that clear when establishing my business. I think I asked someone, hey, is this gonna be public? And they said, yes, it is. And that's when I started to realize I needed a different address, although I was a virtual practitioner. Another place you're gonna need an address is on your intake paperwork and documentation. My notice of privacy practices has an address on there. And again, I didn't wanna use my personal address, so I had to establish a different business address. Similarly, when I submit a super bill to a client, that's a piece of documentation I give them so that they can receive out-of-network benefits. This also has an address on it. And I'm pretty sure that when you submit claims to insurance companies, that you also need an address. So there's a whole bunch of different reasons for why you're gonna need an address, even if you are a virtual practitioner. While we're on the topic of out-of-network benefits, let me tell you a bit about today's sponsor, and that is Thrizer. Thrizer is a new company that's going to be a real game changer for providers in private practice. They offer a whole bunch of different tools on their platform, but one of the coolest tools they offer right now is free end-to-end support for your clients so that they can use their out-of-network benefits. That is right, you heard me correctly, completely free end-to-end support for your clients to use their out-of-network benefits. This has so many benefits. For one, as the provider, you no longer need to submit super bills. Thrizer has got that taken care of. Also, you can keep your cash pay rate while also ensuring that your clients get reimbursed for their therapy sessions. This is just unbelievable. Anyway, this is completely free. Go ahead and sign up today. There's a link down below in the description. All right, so now let's finally talk about how do you actually get an address for your virtual practice. Now, one of the biggest things you need to know is that you do not want to get a PO box. Hear me correctly. Do not get a PO box. A PO box is not going to work for a lot of different things you need to do. So for example, if you're going to establish a business entity, at least here in New York State, they do not allow a PO box to be your address. So then what do we do? Well, there's a couple of options, but let's go over the first one, and it's the option that I think might be the best, and it's the one I'm currently using, and that's to obtain a virtual mailbox. This is kind of like a PO box, but instead of giving you a PO box number and being at your local post office, it's an actual street address. So it looks just like a building or a home, but it actually points to something like a Staples store or a FedEx store or something like that. And there's a whole bunch of different places that provide this service. And one of them that I currently use is called iPostal One. They allow you to obtain a virtual mailbox. The pricing has been really good. There's a whole bunch of different features. I don't use any of the features. I just get a couple pieces of mail sent to my mailbox every so often, and I go pick it up. For a really good price, you can obtain a legitimate address using iPostal1. And this address can be used to establish your business entity. It can be used to put on your intake paperwork. It can be used for your private practice. So I would suggest checking out iPostal1 or another virtual mailbox solution. The link for iPostal1 will be down below in the description. Now, another option, and one that might not be available to everyone, is using an already established business's address. So for example, I'm part of Alma, which is a startup company that helps therapists get credentialed with different insurance providers. They provide all sorts of different tools and things like that. They're really great. But in the very beginning, Alma actually had an office building. And this was an office building that therapists could sign up to use to have in-person sessions. Now, I never used the in-person session feature because I am an all virtual therapist. However, I reached out to Alma and I said, hey, can I use this address as my business address? Mail might go there or other things like that. And they were totally fine with it. I used it to establish my PLLC. I used it to put on my intake paperwork and documentation. And this was before I signed up with iPostal1. So I did switch at some point because Alma closed their building. But if you are a part of an organization like this, some sort of business that helps you in your private practice, they may allow you to use their business address. So these are a couple of different options. I would definitely check out iPostal1 first before reaching out to already established businesses, because this is personal. It'll only be yours. You have the complete freedom to use the address however you want. It's a great option, great price. Definitely check it out. But that is it for today's video. I hope that was helpful for you. I hope you learned something. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you soon.